Hello, everyone, and the model isn't connected. Well, there's our scuff. That was the scuff for the day. Just a moment. Just a moment. Where's that button? Why didn't you launch vitamins? That's all connected. Okay, we're connected. We're connected. Hello, everyone. I see we have Adam, Tatum, and Fairy in here today. Yes, I do recognize you from last stream, Fairy. Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. We're going to be continuing our playthrough of the PowerWash Simulator Warhammer 40,000 DLC today. Nice chill stream, so lots of chat and a bit of almost a bit of an ASMR vibe from the game if you like the sound of highly pressurized water. Checking in with the kitties, we really only have Mason visible right now. The rest of them are lurking elsewhere, with Sammy being on my lap in full contortionist mode here. She's all squirmy. Oh, but how's everybody doing today? Everybody having a good day today? I hope so. Last time we were working on the Thunderhawk gunship. There's not a lot of fiddly bits on this one, like there were on the Imperial Knight, but there's a whole lot of it. Loading dirt. Let's just get right back into it. Again, this is a pretty chill game, so don't worry about chatting or anything like that as far as interrupting me. I'm more than happy to pause for a little bit and have some talk. Have some talk, chat, talk with, whichever is less awkward. We've pretty much got that half left. Tried some additional things. Is the voice audio coming through properly? There's always the possibility that it grades later and messes everything up, but, you know. Hoping to minimize the scuff. Let's see, Battle of the Planet that we've been talking about for the entirety of this game. This is apparently the ship that went down and got the thing that they went to this planet for. Extraction point almost secured, preparing for retrieval. We're cleaning this because they don't want to go near it until it's decontaminated. The enemy flee before the might of Brother Zachiel, the dreadnought that we cleaned earlier. Right, they're not fleeing, they are parting. They have like a hell brute or like a forge beast or something. New target observed emerging from the ground. By the Emperor, a something. We have the possibility of a demon. There's a real Nurgle impression, but it's kind of hard to tell. Yeah, sometimes YouTube will decide that it wants that you'll fall behind on the stream a little bit when it buffers. Sometimes my voice audio will go haywire. I don't know why. I did some extra testing today, so hopefully that will have done something. Good times. Let's see if it stays that way. And welcome, Tess. How is Infinite Wealth going for you? I know the feeling about getting caught up in side quests. That's often why I end up not finishing a lot of those games. Very easy to just do that. Especially games with like an open world aspect, let's say, where you can go around and find things to do. I mean, Ubisoft games definitely get some flack, and rightfully so, for essentially sharing the same core gameplay, no matter what they are. So, like, your Assassin's Creed have had the same core gameplay as some of the Ghost Recon games and similar, where it is, move towards the tallest tower you can see, climb the tower, reveal the mini games to do, go do the mini games, repeat. But that said, at least for me, the sensation of watching all of those little map icons appear and then turn gray is very satisfying. So, in the latest little bit of lore we have about this this DLC storyline, we have the drop to the planet where they're sending this thing in once they have a secured landing site to capture the artifact with the Imperial Fist Dreadnought dropped in to act as a spearhead to secure the site, kind of on the second front. is that initially it looks like the enemy forces are retreating from the dreadnought, but then they say they're just backing out of the way so something can come out of the ground at the dreadnought. Not an uncommon thing, Fairy. Streaming, video making, they're all things that can be fun to try to do. Perhaps skills to develop, depending on how you want to do it. I know a VTuber that does a similar thing, Fairy. Kendra Bratton. I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm pretty sure it's Kendra though. Yeah, look at all that. Look at all that down there. So much filth. Scrubby. I think it's the attack wings that are going to be the biggest hassle to this because of the getting at the right angle because of the mechanism. Raising and lowering them, I mean. See if we can get this side this part done. Gain some ground, you know? Gain some ground. Oh, good that you've that it's working better for you. So early on in PowerWash Simulator, the ladders weren't as sticky. So when I climb up on the ladder, I can't move left and right. I can move up and down cleanly, and I can look around all I want. But previously, it didn't prevent that left and right movement. So it was very easy to, like, launch yourself off the ladder to the side. Kind of like that. You see, when I got right up to the top, I immediately jumped off because I wasn't, like, lined up cleanly on the ladder. And that used to happen just trying to climb the ladder at all. Back in the day. Is at most, like, couple of years now, you think? Game is actually not terribly new, you know? Hey there. Thanks for the thanks for the donation there, Sherry. I appreciate it. Just verify here. Apparently that is your that is the 5th super chat that you have done. In general, in total, it would seem. But hey there, hello, and welcome. Doing some 40k power wash in chat. I have a cat on my head. Sherbet has come to greet me in his way. Let's see. Favorite game? That changes over time. I'm really liking Helldivers 2 right now. Favorite game that I stream? Right now, I would have to say, and I'm leaning to the side because of my cat. One of my cats. Favorite game that I'm streaming recently, setting aside this because this is like a burst, hey, let's play this real quick kind of thing. The Apollo Justice game. I like that. It's, are there any other cats? Let's see if there are any other cats visible. So we have Ember in her spot, Mason where we've been seeing him. Sky is below the camera that's a white table, or he was until just a moment ago. Sherbet saw Sky moving, so he's going to go chase him. Sky is my diplomat cat. He is the friendliest to new cats, like immediately friendly to new cats. I can't tell if Sammy is there. Let's zoom in. She tends to be on the edge of cameras for whatever reason. She is quite adept in that fashion. You're not. You're about 15 minutes in, lol. So not far, not far. I'm on camera. Obey me. Oh, well. It's not Sammy, but Sky has appeared there since we started trying to switch it. And inevitably, there's Sherbet. That's right, lol. Whenever you decide to show up is the right time to show up. Actually gonna put it back on Mason here. Not because it's not amusing to see the others when they show. It's that Sky and Sherbet, when they're in play mode, are going to switch cameras constantly. Welcome back. Well, fell off the wing. It happens, lol. It happens. Don't worry about it. Blood Angels are one of the Space Marine chapters I find ever so boring. How long do I think it'll take to finish? This one, I'm not sure. Oh. This guy just went barreling through. We're maybe... Well, based on the meter, you can see we're less than halfway. But we've still got all of this to do. So, I mean, no less than half an hour on this one. That's my current estimate. Could definitely be more than that. If you mean the stream as a whole, we're going to be here for at least 2.5 hours more. I haven't run long in a while. We'll see. Yeah. Blood Angels, like a lot of the side chapters, they don't need to be Space Marines. And the reason that I say that is that so many of them are essentially, what if Ultramarines but vampires? Or what if Ultramarines but Vikings? Do I make any other content? I do. I have fallen behind on it, but I do shorts for YouTube. I'm also streaming. I have a vertical form, a wide form on YouTube, and I have a wide form on Twitch right now. Like I said, I do shorts for YouTube. I have fallen behind wildly on that recently. And I stream different stuff. We're doing PowerWash because this DLC dropped. And I love the aesthetic of the Adeptus Mechanicus. And generally, the visuals of the world of 40K. Like I mentioned, let's see. Right now, one of the games I'm playing is Helldivers 2. I haven't played that on stream because it's very much we play it for a little bit, and then, take a rest. Maybe an hour or two at the most, and it can get intense and sometimes frustrating. So I don't know how good for stream it is, but I like it overall. I am playing Thaumaturge. It's a very narrative game, but it's like early 1900s Poland in an alternate history where the concept of some magic users exist. Very folklore-y spirits and mind control kind of magic. What else? I will eventually get back around to playing some more Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I am mostly a PC gamer, Sherry. Mostly a PC gamer. I find that PCs are generally more versatile for the same general cost. About the time that a new wave of consoles drops is usually around the time that you might have to consider updating your PC. But it's required less often. You can sometimes get upwards of 2 waves. And hey, they're not warned. And I also see Casemate has rejoined us. Casemate, if you don't want to watch on vertical form, you can also find the wide form on YouTube or on Twitch. We are playing PowerWash Simulator, Warned. It is a game where you use a power washer to scrub down various things, clean them. And this is the Warhammer 40,000 DLC for it, which I have been waiting for, in which we are a member of the Adeptus Mechanicus, and we are using the, the Mark II Aqua Sanctica, or Sanctica Arquebus to scrub war machines. We are currently cleaning a Thunderhawk gunship, which is a attack in transport ship that, like many Imperial Warhammer 40,000 vehicles, is designed as if it's a brick with jet engines attached. Well, thanks again, Sherry. Thanks for another donation. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right. Well, thanks again. Thanks again. Glad to have had you, Sherry. Sorry, as I'm catching up on chat all over here. More dings. Nice. And another. Oh, we're making progress. The long nozzle back on here. My camera is a phone. And one of my cats does like to come up and like rub her face on it and chew the corners, which I must stop her from doing. Both because, it disrupts the camera, it might damage the casing on the camera, and because cat faces and paws are also capacitive, and sometimes she will like swipe away from the app. Yeah, generally not as fond of blood angels just because they are that feeling of what if Space Marines but vampires. And I feel like a lot of those aren't sufficient differentiators. Because some of them are just like a very generic trope slapped on. That in Horus Heresy lore, I feel like the gimmick of the Emperor was really disengaged from the heresy up until the Siege of Terra, when Sanguinius gets killed. And that's when he's finally like, no, my best boy. And intervenes. As opposed to, all of the other death. Yeah, they justify that he wasn't, that he was entangled in other things, but... There's a whole lot of stupid on the Emperor's side around the heresy period. The storytelling of 40k's Imperium generally doesn't need the Emperor, is one of the problems. This is all in my opinion. Perhaps some of it just to make 40k fanboys really upset. Yeah. They're the Golden Boys, and they're also one of the reasons that 40k has a bit of an image problem lately. Given that they're the Supermen of Team Space Fascist. And that gets justified a lot. Like, oh, but everybody's evil. It's like, yes, but you're presenting it as kind of the good guys. Like, they're Team Human. Hey there, Jose. That one is Mason. He's kind of tan and white. But welcome to the stream. We're doing some power wash in chat right now. Do I have Portal 2? I have played Portal 2. It was fun. Also played the... I think it was Portal 2 that had the 2-robot co-op thing. That was also fun. Scrubby, scrubby. I probably wouldn't revisit Portal 2 anytime soon. It's not one of those that is out of the question, but we do have a lot on our plate as far as other games in the schedule. But you know, the future is the future. Yeah, the general problem, casemate, is that there's a very vocal portion of the 40K community that doesn't view it as a default perspective. They sort of champion the game because of that. The general theme of defending humanity, I think, is what the creators were going for, and that there are elements of the human society that were corrupted. That, I think, is solid. And frankly, despite me, criticizing the Emperor in the stories, the actual story of the Emperor, setting aside Magic Space Baby portion, is neat. The whole person crusading to kind of bring humanity back to where they were. Get the science back, that kind of thing. Is Sammy on camera somewhere? Let's take a look. Let's see, we have Sherbet looking out the window. We have Sky up in the cat tree. Sammy could be on the periphery somewhere. We're gonna put it on the tree where Sky is, because Sammy will show up in the lower left corner of that sometimes. Let's see if she do. Yeah. Yeah, I think a decent portion of 40K's problems is their willingness to adopt outside authors as canon has led to some weird results. To the point of very negative ideology and behaviors being glorified in a modern world sense. The Black Templars get a lot of popular view, and not necessarily presenting them as extremists as far as Space Marines go. Again, the fanatical purge the heretic, the really fanatical purge the heretic, gets more glorified than it probably should in the community. Again, aspirationally glorified. But to Tess's point, there are a lot of good stories. Welcome back, Tatum. I don't disagree with that. It's I loved that they actually advanced the 41st Millennium storyline with the whole Fall of Cadia portion of it, but I feel like they wasted that immediately after. They just nudged it forward, and it was very clearly, hey, let's launch a new Space Marine product line, but then let's keep the status quo almost exactly where it was. It was an opportunity for them to actually have the story start flowing, and they did not take it. We were discussing the Warhammer 40,000 setting. I think that's why, when I described why I like it, it's the aesthetic of particular factions I like. Like, the concept of AdMech as very cybernetic transhuman, or in some cases post-human, with their, you know, the whole mecha tendrils and very inhuman forms. That's right, Tess. They didn't have to stagnate, but they choose to keep the plot pretty much right where it is. Like, some of the narratives will pretend as if things change, but they don't. And we know why. It's because there's money to be made. You don't want to invalidate model lines because there's a limit on how often you can do that. My favorite mobile game. When I play a mobile game, there are some nonogram puzzle games that I play. Just a moment. Where is it hiding? There's one called Nonogram Life that I play, which is fun. It's good for some, burst puzzle play. That's another type of game I like to play. Not any particular one, but I like nonogram puzzles. Orcs are still a faction I think is done dirty by the popular interpretation of them and what has been adopted as canonical. Changing the way their knowledge of machinery and whatnot worked to just be it's psychic magic, I think is wasteful. The idea of a society where you effectively had mad scientists that made it work, I think was cool. If you're not familiar with nonogram puzzles, they're ones where it will present rows and columns where you have to have particular numbers of those checked off. So there will be particular boxes and it'll say, there's a group of 2 in a row, there's a group of 3 in a row, kind of thing. And you have to line that up, rows and columns. It is not Sudoku, but it is often considered Sudoku adjacent. Have I seen the new Willy Wonka movie? No, I have not. I have heard positive things. In general, I feel like we didn't necessarily need yet another Wonka movie, but it's not a part of the narrative that has been exhausted, let's say. Hey there, Brexton. Welcome, welcome. We're doing some power wash in chat. I don't know if you were here when I mentioned it, Casemate, but there's one that I've been playing recently that has a darker atmosphere, but it's kind of a neat alternate history. It is primarily set in like 1905 Warsaw, with the idea of like, fell off, a type of spellcaster that controls folklore spirits to kind of unravel mysteries and more or less do battle kind of stuff. So Tass, in Discworld, and I love to reference Discworld because it's good fiction. If you haven't, folks, read Discworld. The late Terry Pratchett was a great author. There's a book called The Monstrous Regiment, which is good in its own light, and there's more to it. But one of the aspects is the Church of Nuggin. And part of it is a deification of the Queen and similar. And part of that is that the doctrine and the way that the church is handled has reached a point where the collectively created deity that results from that is almost powerless. There's actually a moment where a person has a dream or a vision that involves that, and it's that the doctrine, the entrenched theology, has made it so that that is the thing that they worship. That has more power than the creature that they describe, you know? And the most mystical thing that happens as a result of that deity, that, again, in this setting, they are things that can exist because of belief, is that the book of Nuggin, the what amounts to the book of laws of the religion, is always presented as a spiral binder, because new laws constantly pop into existence, new pages. I mean, it's interesting with Gork and Mork, there's simultaneously a duality, but also a two sides of the same coin dynamic, because one of them is strong and clever, and the other is clever and strong. They're kind of the same creature from it in a different light, kind of thing. Hey there, Kebo. Welcome back. And I think Tatum asked what my favorite soda is. I like ginger ale. In the sense of the more widely available varieties, Canada Dry, the 0 Cal Canada Dry. less widely but available, there is a supermarket called Pick and Save that has a store brand of ginger ale that I like. It's almost kind of spicy. It's like a little bite to it. I like that, but they don't stock a lot of it, and I would have to go to Pick and Save to get more of it. Which can be a hassle. The ones that are near me don't lay out their stores very efficiently. They're very tight and crowded. So even when they do have things in stock, it can be very hard to locate them. How do I make the so my character moves using Live 2D. In particular, I use VTube Studio. The camera I use is an iPhone. Live 2D is a image format where a piece of art is sliced into a variety of pieces and then made to move almost like it's a 3D model, but not. Friends who are on any games I have. We are going to have to lift that wing shortly. Let's try to get up on it and get that angle. Sure we get the rest of it from this angle. So we'll be changing it in a moment. That I agree with, Casemate. They have both reached a point where they need to do... Frankly, they need to flip the table. There needs to be an actual disruption in the setting so they can tell new stories. As opposed to more this one time at band camp, but, you know, Grimedark style stuff. That's why I think as far as storytelling, the Eisenhorn books that centered on Eisenhorn were fun because they were a very different story. That I would love to see. Yeah, I think there's only... I mean, to Casemate's point as well, I think there's only so many ways that you can present that before it just gets kind of boring. Like, after a while, you're just saying, it's hopeless and dark, it's hopeless and dark, it's hopeless and dark. Like, well, yeah, we've established that. It's like that sometimes, Casemate, where a game that you might be interested in playing yourself isn't, is very multiplayer centric. That Helldivers game that I mentioned, can you play it solo? Yes, and some people play it on the highest difficulty solo. The way you end up playing it like that doesn't interest me. So playing solo is very limited to me. So I have to wait until, you know, a group of people I know is... fell off the wing again. A group of people that I know is online in order to play it. And the nature of the beast, you know? Welcome back, Hebo. I fell off the wing again. I'm getting distracted, but don't worry about that, folks. That's kind of the point of the stream. Oh, my favorite type of cat. Well, I don't have one any longer. Both of them passed away. But I had a pair of Maine Coon brothers, Bob and Tom. Their entire litter was named after types of cat. So, you know, Bobcat, Tomcat. One of their sisters was Alley Cat. But they were big, snuggly, friendly cats. The bigger of the two was a great big coward. He was scared of everything. Fell in a hole. Why did I get cats? I like cats. I think they're cute and fun. I find their type of affection very enjoyable. Well, I'll often talk about the kind of the ways cats show affection. Because often people describe cat behaviors and interactions in a context of, like, butt dogs. And even aside from aloof cats, how they show affection, there are cats that are very snuggly. Ember and Sammy very regularly want to sit on me and snuggle up, like, get right up in there, you know? That's a good way to put it, casemate. Why would I even care if the setting doesn't? Cosmosis, welcome. My cats like to sit on me. Sammy likes to sit across my lap. Ember likes to sit on my stomach. And Sherbet will sit on the headrest of my chair. All three of them demanding maximum attention from me while they do. They are. They can be very friendly. People will often say, like, cats are standoffish and, you know, not as affectionate as a dog. And that can be true for some cats. I have encountered some cats that are jerks. Sometimes they are not jerks to a particular person, like they have a person, and that is the one that they're nice to. But I've met some that are just mean. Like, they only like humans because humans give them food. I have had at most 7 cats, and I can say that at that point, it starts to get difficult to give each individual enough attention. They start to be present, and I don't like that. I think that's kind of the point there, Kebo. A lot of domesticated animals are kind of people in their particular way. They have personalities, they have their own behaviors. And just like some people, some animals are jerks. They're just not nice. Now, stray cats are different. Ecologically, it can be a bad idea to give lots of food to stray cats. That's not to say you never should. It's that be aware if you do. You're likely to kill every other animal that is smaller than a cat in a wide radius. That's right, Eternity. This is the Warhammer 40,000 DLC for PowerWash Simulator. It is Adeptus Mechanicus cleaning Imperial vehicles. If I ever had a dog, I have had a dog before. I had a white German Shepherd. He was lightly affectionate. He wasn't really big on, like, you needed to constantly pet him kind of dog. He did like to chase tennis balls, like, fanatically. Anytime he caught a tennis ball that was thrown, he would make a victory lap. He would have to, like, run around in a wide circle, and then he would come back again. Thunderhawk is neat. Primary things I don't like about a lot of Space Marine vehicles is that the way they ended up putting the aesthetic together is they end up being really, really inconveniently blocky. Like, if they stayed in space, that wouldn't be an issue. You know, ship-to-ship kind of stuff in space. But entering the atmosphere, this is kind of ridiculous. Oh, that's what I said, is in space, it's fine. When it's present in the atmosphere, that's when it's silly. Similar can be said for a lot of their ground vehicles, though. The other problem, and this is from, you know, way back when they were initially designed, is a lot of the vehicles that the Imperium has are derived from World War I and II designs. Things like the Land Raider and, you know, Rhino, that whole chassis set are World War I tank designs. And, you know, it's neat and all, but I mean, if I was going to ride in a tank wearing massive powered armor, I would expect, one, the tank would be scaled up. The interior of a Rhino could just barely fit thick Space Marines. Just barely. But additionally, I would want a tank that is less likely to get stuck because its belly impacted the ground. Which was the problem with those, with a lot of the designs of those all around the tank tread designs that they have perpetuated here. Is the belly of the tank is really, really, really low. For the tread profile. Hey, I got promoted to engine seer for the last one. There's bonus There's bonus cybernetics in it in this for me. I'm all for that. I mean, we're residing over a planet. This is the Iron Ring of Mars. Favorite animal other than cats? That is tricky. Really like cats. Do you mean preside eternity? Because you're saying reside. Ah, okay. Very similar word, very, very different meaning in the context. But hey, we're playing as AdMech. Being not even human anymore is like a positive. Let's see, favorite animal other than cat. Don't mess with us. We won't make any more bolters for you. Axolotls are very cute. That's the deal. The Imperium looks the other way very emphatically about what the Mechanicus does. And the Mechanicus makes and maintains their tanks. For those that haven't seen, they did a really good job with the room that you do this in. Look at this. It's huge. My favorite part is over here. This big stained glass window. Hey there, Ethan. Let's see, can we get a little higher? Ah, there it is. There's a lower window. Right there. Very cool. Very cool. Irvine all scrubby. I guess silver lining there, Ethan. Silver lining. I got the plague, but at least that means I can stay home and watch videos now. Ah, you just gotta swap it out now and then. What is that thought problem, the one about the boat that you keep replacing the parts of until the entire boat is replaced with new parts, and then you take the old parts and put a boat together using them? Ship of Theseus, there we go. Which will be the real newtmechanist. I mean, clearly me. Not that other guy. Assuming it doesn't time you out, letting YouTube autoplay random videos and ads can be a weird experience. Sometimes it can get very concerning seeing what YouTube thinks of you. Sometimes my YouTube ad feed is very convinced that I need more concealed carry holsters. Way more than you could ever use. Depressing but true, Kebo. I mean, maybe in maybe in tactical dreadnought armor. You could put it in the fist. You'd have to replace some bits. There's a point at which you have so many concealed carry holsters on. I guess you could at some point just call it a coat. So one of the gags in that Helldivers game is one of the upgrades you can get for the turrets increases their durability. And they describe it as using advanced cyanoacrylate technology to hold the housing of the turret together better. Anybody get it? Make me sad. At least one of you puts together models. Abaddon, it's glue. Cyanoacrylate is super glue. Nanoacrylate glue. But it's more like cyan, Kebo. Cyanoacrylate. In exchange for extracting advanced technology and scientific samples from the surface of war-torn planets, your ship's machine shop is granted superglue to better hold together the turrets that they let you deploy. Another one that they do is one of the first upgrades that lets you deploy things faster is that they effectively give steroids and stimulants to the crew that moves the equipment around. The game is hardcore Starship Troopers movie. All right, Casemate, thanks for joining us again. Good to see you more frequently again. How did you eat a chair? I would suspect a small piece at a time. Like that guy that had stomach enzymes capable of digesting metal. he got a Guinness record for effectively eating a plane over a very protracted period of time. So one would assume chairs are kind of bush league, you know? I wonder where that originates, bush league. This is a Blood Angels chapter ship. It's red, so it goes faster. There used to be a rule about that in tabletop. When facing the orcs, the Blood Angels had... I think they actually had mechanical benefits. Because the orcs assumed that... because all the Blood Angels' vehicles were red, that they were faster. Interesting. That makes sense, I guess, Tass. See? Learning stream. We're learning. Always fun to find out where sayings and terminology originates from. Why do we call it that? And then we can speculate on how racist it actually is. Because some of them really are. Some of them are very racist. In origin. I mean, their popular usage isn't meant to be. But they become a little distasteful once you know. Kind of lends credence to the old Eldritch horror style things where there are, in SCP terms, cognito hazards. Things that are bad for you once you know them. Like, fundamentally bad to know them. I just noticed that. I just noticed that from your name there. I wouldn't mind doing streams reading SCP articles, but the way their intellectual property is rules are written, there are concerningly unclear things. And so we shan't. SCP can be fun times. Sometimes it just ends up being kind of creepypasta. But sometimes they're interesting. There's a book I'm reading recently. It's a novel. Can't recall the title, but it is set in a magical society. There's some real sketchy things about the society, how it operates. But one of the premises is to be a magic user, you need a familiar. And this little girl who wants to get into the magic school summons a familiar using a sort of bodged together sort of ritual compared to what you would normally do. And completely by accident, she ends up summoning some sort of like Lovecraftian outer god. And the perspective of the story is told from that elder god, who is largely alien and powerful, but is kind of going along with the whole thing. They think it's fun. So it gives you some of the alien perspective story, and I like that kind of thing. Alien perspective stories are fun. Interesting. How do you spawn a god? SCP, it varies based on fiction and mythology. There are some fictional settings where the existence of a god is based entirely on belief. Like God little g. As in, it is the sustained and scaled belief that one exists that makes one exist. In things like eldritch fiction, the quote-unquote Lovecraftian fiction, these things are not spawned. They are things that have existed for all time. So they are a fundamental part of nature, of the universe and everything. So they don't get spawned, they get found. Countered in some fashion. And that's a common way that they are presented in fiction and mythology, is that they are things that are part of the fundamental nature of the world. I mean, some of them, you know, your Greek and Norse pantheons, new ones coming to existence, but it's largely like a familial thing. Whether it be weird and disturbing familial or, you know, regular reproductive processes. Let's switch and see if there are other kitties. Ember is over on the side table for once. She is on camera 2, which is the white table with a heating pad. This guy is up in the tree. Mason is in the other tree. I think that might actually be Sherbet. We'll have to zoom in. And Sammy is on the bed. Let's see who that is on tree number 2. Oh, that's Sherbet up there. He's snoozing. Does make a neat sound when it's lifted. Makes a very sci-fi sound. What was that one called, SCP? The cat that acts as if it has a fully formed body, but like the back half of the cat doesn't exist in normal space. It's one of the weird and cute SCPs. Making progress. We're almost 3/4 of the way through. Grubby scrub. Definitely taken us longer than half an hour to finish this one. Estimates were incorrect. SCPs about just fundamentally strange things, I think, are more interesting than, I mean, to, to quote the name of another SCP, just another murder monster, you know? The ones that aren't just creepypasta are the best ones, in my mind. What is it? There's the incredibly social, like, happy blob creature that is super nice and everybody likes. That is actually the child or second coming of some terrible dark god. That if this creature were to be captured by that cult or corrupted in some fashion, like, that it would bring about the apocalypse. It's usually presented as like this squishy, cartoonish slime creature, you know? And if I recall, it's almost like there's a sign-up sheet to get to be the one to monitor it. Because it's just so cute and friendly. There we go, that's right. With the Scarlet King being one of those existential threat ones, your sort of elder god kind of creature. We already had a test run at an apocalypse, and I think we did very badly. Cat videos are fun. I just, from a content creation perspective, I wish most of the cat videos and whatnot that you saw weren't stolen content. Where somebody just, like, repackages them. Like, you know, funny cat video compilation. Like, get your own cat. Not exactly hard to make cute cat video compilations. You could have a video of a cat sleeping, potentially for hours on end, and it would probably do pretty well. Crazy Monk, you were here last stream, weren't you? and many streams before. At least some streams before. In that vein, folks, forgive me if I don't necessarily remember you. Sometimes my memory does not serve me well. Sometimes I blank on things. And sometimes I remember things weirdly well. Random, trivial things. There is a window well there. And sometimes small, like chipmunks in the like nest there in the rocks at the bottom. Or they can see birds at the top of it. Hey there, Floof. We're doing the Warhammer PowerWash Simulator stuff. Scrubbing down a Thunderhawk gunship. Great big spaceship. But in any event, welcome to the broadcast. A small power washer? Because it's on theme. This is the Mark II Aqua Sanctica Arquebus. Hardcore capitalism, Tass. Hardcore capitalism. We need to have a special Hawaiian themed one that we can charge extra for to tourists. How are we going to do that? Wait, sir. I have an idea. And he takes out one of the stuffies and puts a little plastic Hawaiian lei on it, and the entire conference room goes silent, and then applause break out. You're a genius. It's like the old Simpsons reference where the Barbie doll analog of the time being like a bad stereotype, and they're pushing back against it and making a lot of progress, and then the company, seeing that they're losing a lot of sales, releases a new doll, and it's the same as the old doll, but it's wearing a different hat. And it's like, it's the same one. It has all of the same sexist problems as the prior one. Yeah, but it's got a new hat. The early seasons of Simpsons before they had reached completely established entity. You know, they had reached that stage of like classic newspaper comics. Where, yeah, you can have an original theme, but it's largely just that you exist, you know? Newspaper comics are one of those things that were very slow to run into issues, but the fact that they were so limited in number, because they needed to be consumable on a ridiculously wide scale, like they had to be so widely appealing because the papers could only fit so many. So it wasn't like they were going to try something, new very frequently. They were just going to go with the tried and true staples. And eventually, it took them a while to realize this, but, web comics existed. Things that were more obtainable, or at least as obtainable, could appeal to more niches. And you didn't have to wait till, like, the paper showed up to consume them. The ship is dirty because it landed on a planet. And thanks for joining us, SCP. Hope you have a good day. I suspect that consuming newspaper is not a great idea. There are some papers that are probably standardly digestible. But I can't assume... I can't think that the ink and type of paper used in newspaper is going to be particularly good for you. But I wouldn't be able to say. It's not a concept that I have explored personally. I wonder if it's more like fast food companies or newspaper companies that would have researched that. Because fast food companies have done some really advanced research into things like flavor and digestibility. And smells. There are places where I can't remember what the particular brand and release of it was. But there was a particular series of orange dishware that was in your kind of, let's broadly say, like 40s to 70s era dishware that was a really bright orange color. A really rich orange. And it obtained that color because they used something like uranium to make it. Whether that was in the color or something of... Yeah, there we go. Yes, and those plates are bonkers radioactive. Like, having them, let alone using them in a household setting, is something that is bad for your health levels of radiation. Private bulk of the penal legions reporting for duty. This is PowerWash Simulator's Warhammer 40,000 DLC, so it's PowerWash Simulator if you've seen that, just with a, crossover content to it. Situation requires someone with scant regard for self-preservation. I've commandeered Commissar Franz's Rogeldorn tank and intend to deliver it straight into that sniveling something. Now, see, this was the guy that seemed to send a message that was counter to what the commissar was saying initially, but then turned, like, in the course of the message, became very fanatically pro-commissar. Mark my final words, redacted irrelevant. I expect there are a lot of old collector's items from periods where people didn't realize quite how dangerous some of the stuff was, you know? Whether they be commercial products or, like, handicrafts or anything like that, where it's like, oh, this is a neat color or a neat consistency kind of stuff. It's kind of like how we made pipes out of lead. And you still get places that are like, yeah, but it would be expensive to remove them. No, we really need to remove them now, kind of thing. I recall going to school in a place that still had lead pipes. I've mentioned this before, but lead pipes make water sweet. Oh, it's less that it makes the water sweet and more that diluted lead is sweet. And very bad for you. Don't consume lead. Every home should have fire detectors. Well, smoke detectors, you know. Most places generally do have fire detectors. It's called the entire building. It combusts when it's exposed to fire. Those are the sort of reasons that lead to legitimate distrust in a particular portion of the public utilities. And reasonably so. I recall seeing a video about places where, you know, they don't have access to fresh water with any significant extent, like especially island locations, where any fresh water they have is a very limited commodity. So there's a lot of research in those areas on things like desalination and getting it to a residential scale instead of a really inefficient commercial scale, as it exists currently. And those could result in very cool things. Some of the prototypes still relying on too much consumable materials, but the concept's reaching a point where they require replacement so infrequently that they become residentially plausible. Which is cool. Is it like a industrial groundwater contamination scenario, Kebo? Or okay, floods. So you're getting saltwater contamination into the freshwater. Welcome back, Sherry. So I had originally said maybe half an hour to finish this, and I was wildly inaccurate. We're still not done. Hello, Sherbet. Missing cat. Need to find a cat. There we go. Oof. Sammy be snoozing. There we go. Sure. Which one is top left? Are you in tall format, like phone format there, Sherry, or are you in widescreen format? Guessing since you said top left, you mean this one. Very much a cat person. Ha 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 ha. Maybe we'll finish this one today. I thought Nyanite was very clever. Well, thank you, Sherry. I'm assuming, Sherry, X is always a tricky thing to guess at. Oh, and that was a donation there. Thank you. Thank you. Once again. Hey there, Miss Gloomy. We're doing some power wash today. I'd originally thought we would finish the Thunderhawk and move on, but we might just finish the Thunderhawk today. I have had various jobs outside of YouTube. But I am putting some exceptional effort into the YouTube endeavor. Canonically, I worked as the head researcher and manufacturing lead for Catbot Corporation's Catbot factory before I was consensually and non-destructively neurally mapped into the proto-nanotype you see before you. And I agree with the common sentiment that I would like to be able to stay a cozy, like very personal chat stream. If I should manage to get, wildly popular or something like that. One can dream, one can hope, and strive. And I recognize that some of that won't be possible, but I would still like to be a very relaxed environment where chat is something that we can still try to keep up with as much as we can. Sometimes the chat do scroll too fast, That's right, Kebo. This is not suspicious at all. Nothing to see here. If you are so inclined, on the Discord and on my my Twitter, because it shall always be Twitter and not a letter of the alphabet, there are a couple of several posts and similar that are related to the lore of this channel. I agree with that, Kebo. YouTube chat is prone to a more relaxed atmosphere. Twitch chat has, I'd say, different social norms and behavioral norms. Back when I was Twitch affiliate, we played things that, using a mod that I made, we played particular games that were very prone to like Twitch integrations and whatnot. Those things and people that use soundboards and the like, those are much more common in a Twitch setting, though not, unknown in YouTube settings. Well, I did that at the time. I find that I have preferred integrations with chat and the like that augment chat, that augment that part of the experience, but do not override it or replace it, Yeah, Twitch and YouTube are kind of their own things as far as video now. Well, streaming, I should say. I will say Twitch should continue to up their game. They have been, I think, reliant on the fact that they are the incumbent in the gaming space to continue to stay afloat, and that can't last forever, especially given the state of profitability on Twitch as far as the company. That's a big thing for companies and, streamers as well, is being aware of what is and is not working. And what works for folks. It's the whole reason that I have started to stream in short form as well as wide form. People seem to like it. Now, there are trends I won't follow. There are trends that I'm willing to try. It's important to be aware of what kind of thing. One moment, coughing. Okay, that's better. Mostly better. That is a concern that people have with short form content, is that it's very bursty. I think there are other issues that are better to look at than that. With short form content. But that is something that people are paying attention to, is what does that mean? And I agree that there is something to be said, and there's research to be done on the impact of on things like people's attention spans. But additionally, it's interesting to look at that from the opposite angle, and that's in what people actually like to consume and what is entertaining. So, for example, if you have a video that is 20 minutes long, but the meat of the video, like the entire thrust of the video, lasts at most, let's say 5 minutes, let's be generous, 5 minutes, then why is the video 20 minutes long? And if a person was presented with both, which would they prefer to consume? The 20-minute long one or the 5-minute long one? That I agree with. There's a real issue with, it's kind of like video Pringles. You just start munching. So frankly, I don't think Pringles as a snack have, at least in my recollection, some of this might be nostalgia, I don't think Pringles have benefited from age. I feel like their nature as formed potato paste. I don't think the way that they do it has bettered with age. I think a coming issue with short form content is going to be copyright infringement. Because a lot of platforms, even setting aside TikTok, where the trend originated, really do effectively encourage it. Like, sometimes they create tools that make it easier to just take somebody else's content and put it in another video, whether you add to it or not. And the enforcement of a healthy IP ecosystem in that regard is non-existent. YouTube has, and even TikTok have actually been making strides in making things like music available to content creators. Now, with YouTube, I don't know when it becomes available, but they have a tool for music that has been licensed for use on YouTube as a whole, with systems to remove the music if it ceases to be available. Even Twitch did something like that, but I don't know if they're still doing it. The tool for doing it was also a pain to use. The DMCA, I don't like. The principle of allowing a rights holder to actually properly protect their rights such that people aren't, like, you know, stealing that movie I made and, well, taking that movie I made and uploading it for free kind of stuff when I don't want them to, is one thing. The DMCA, as it is used and as it is enforced on most platforms, is toxic as all get out. Hey there, Fairy. Welcome back. We are still cleaning this ship. We haven't even approached the tail fin on it. Taking much longer than anticipated. I mean, it's not a bad thing. Power wash is fun. So PowerWash Simulator has a storyline. It has lore in the base game, not just, you know, DLC kind of stuff. There is a story. There is stuff going on. But setting aside that, its core premise as you are using a power washer to clean things, the whole idea of mundane task as game, I think, is interesting. Prime example is Farming Simulator, a game that seeks to, if time accelerated, realistically simulate farm equipment and how it is used. I can't recall if it is just a joke or if it was actually a thing, but I can believe that it was a thing, is that there are tournaments, like races in the like competitive competitions about Farming Simulator. Almost like a competitive speedrunning kind of thing, to my knowledge. It's that kind of thing, that sort of rethinking of what can be a game and how it can be fun to different people, that I think is good, in that this circles back around to the short form content kind of thing, is like, oh, there's nothing to it, it's just this fast little blurb of stuff. But yeah, do people like that? And what do they like about it? Those are the important questions. One of the big disruptions we're seeing as a result of that is a shift from a trope in YouTube video creation, and that was the opening. You would have a lot of YouTube videos that begin with a protracted opening of, you know, hi, I'm this person, this is my channel, in this video we're going to go over this kind of thing. A very formalized, like, essay structure. And you can't do that anymore. You can't do that anymore. The common convention now is that you have about 8 seconds to get somebody's attention. If you don't, they might not care. Now, if they came to watch your video because they already like your content, then they're going to watch your content. But if they're just looking at it and they're like, oh, that's a neat thumbnail, and then they get into the video and you have bored them for the opening, like, let's be generous and say minute, then why would they stay? And it's an interesting discussion. What I don't like is in a lot of videos, these things are presented in a way of, the video feels like it should open with kids these days. You know, these youth, back in my day, we had good videos. We had long intros that lasted 2 hours, and we liked them. There are some news channels that I consume that, while I like the information they cover, I usually only watch the first 5 to 10 minutes of them. I'll skip the first, say, 3 to 5 minutes, because that is their protracted intro period, usually with a lot of patting themselves on the back. Then the next 5 minutes will be the entire content of the video. Like, that's all I care about, because it is the information. And then the next part is the rest of the video is just them reiterating it, or again, patting themselves on the back more, being over dramatic. And that's relatively common with some long videos. Like, okay, get to the point. And now, what's your actual personal spin on it? Like, tell me why you care and why I should care. The idea of effectively just chain scrolling content, I think, is a legitimate concern of, like, individual media consumption. Like, what am I getting out of this? So entertainment is something that you can get. Like, I spent X time, and in return, I was amused for X time. That's good. Hey there, Ethan. Rejoining chat with a screech. But if you spend that same time and it feels like that time was wasted, that's not good. That doesn't feel good. So, one, it's figuring out what kind of content you find enjoyable and consume that content. Oof. I am not a fan of the mowing of lawns. I mean, there's touching grass, but at some point you're taking it too far, you know? To quote Monty Python, my take on longer videos is get on with it. Let's get to the point. In that way, I think there's lots of videos, and we can chat about anything you want, folks. Feel free to interject with random other questions. This is not a let's talk about content these days channel on its own. we can too, but that's not all. Is a lot of video structure, as I have seen it described previously, seems to have its form rooted in academic essays. So in a U.S. educational form, in a standard 5-part essay. An opening paragraph to describe what you are going to talk about in the paper. X segments of that will be introduced in the opener. And those segments with transitions between, followed by a closing statement that re-summarizes those. There are a lot of videos that if you watch them, they follow that format. And frankly, a lot of parts of that format were kind of BS to begin with. And they didn't need to carry over into video format because there are aspects of media that are available now and that are presented to you that remove the necessity of some of those concepts. Welcome back, Philip. Kebo, do you mean when you open it up on a cell phone, or do you mean when you open it up on the web, on a web page, like on a PC kind of thing? If you mean on a cell phone, yeah, they totally do that. It's an amusing way to put it. Welcome back, Philip. And Ethan, the Death Destroyer of Worlds, once again referencing Discworld. Discworld has a series of kind of a set of different areas concurrently happening, same world, same timelines. Things like the Night Watch, the Three Witches, character sets. One of them is Death. Death is a recurring character. He is a anthropomorphization, a personification of death, the Grim Reaper. You know, skeleton, robes, scythe. And a lot of his stories are both in like representations of that personification, but also the perspective of the individual that has resulted from that. Like of Death's encounters with individuals that have changed its perspective on how it should interact. I have negative interest in Neuralink. I don't want any Elon Musk adjacent company going anywhere near my brain meats. I do like cats, Ethan. I like cats a lot. Whenever somebody goes to get an animal, I would always suggest looking at local animal shelters. I would always encourage people to look at local animal shelters or places that collaborate with them. Places like PetSmart will have places that local animal shelters can bring the animals to showcase them. I'm actually interested to see if a company actually comes up with a good heads-up display. You know, things like Google Glass and whatnot, but less clunky. You know, something where I could do yeah, I don't want anything what would be a good way to put it? I don't want capitalism anywhere near my internal operations. Largely because we already have instances of people being wildly hurt by that. There are folks that have had things like eye implants to see. People that were pretty much entirely blind, except for an implant that they got from a company. And then that company shut down. And now they have an implant that previously required regular maintenance from that company. And now they just have some metal that is slowly falling apart in their eyes. And, you know, that's a problem. Insulin is another example. Insulin is a wonderful example of that. I really, physical augmentation, like getting into the world of cybernetics and the like, but having the people do that be hyper-capitalists, I find concerning. Because frankly, down that road, is cyberpunk. Now, how you could do it more healthily, I'm not sure. Since anything is corruptible, but if we go down the road of tech bros being the ones that are pioneering it, we're not going to get anything good. It's going to be bad, and it's going to be catastrophically bad. People will be hurt very badly by it. Will there be people that explore? Absolutely. There is a whole cottage industry exploring body modification in a enhancement sense. There are parts of Cyberpunk 2077 that I think do a good job of conveying the themes of cyberpunk as a genre. There are parts that don't do as good a job. The anime did a really good job of it. The thing that made 2077 popular. The anime. I really enjoyed the anime. And props to CD Projekt Red for recognizing that they had hit the mark with that and revisiting their game in some aspects. It's also one of those anime that starts out kind of like in one theme and then ends with a punch in the gut emotionally. Yeah, Colin, I think it would have to be like a societal effort, something where stuff is standardized. Like, I think you would have to approach cybernetics like Universal Serial Bus and not like Apple. You would still get scenarios where things would go wrong, but at least there would be that kind of communal scientific effort to make it so that even if one company bails out, that you can swap over to another and have enforcement, like societal governmental enforcement of those standards. Kind of like how you have the EU telling Apple, stop making new power cords. These kind of things make interesting thought experiments, both in what could go wrong, but also saying, like, okay, setting aside all of the scary parts, again, the keep your capitalism away from my brain parts. Setting aside that, it's like, what good things, what cool things could come of it, you know? It is a bit like that, Philip. This is a setting appropriate power washer. So really grandiose name kind of thing. With the power washer extensions for range. And you can make it kind of like a beam rifle. But generally, the 15-degree nozzle is where you want to be. Good mixture of power and coverage. As long as you can get the beam close enough. If it's too far away, you've got to switch to the focused part, usually the spinny one. Pressure washers can be really handy. There's a reasonable number of residential applications. Even setting aside commercial opportunities for using them. Plenty of people with personal businesses centered around essentially going to places and cleaning stuff with pressure washers. I wouldn't mind having a truly modular personal computer. And I don't mean modular in the sense of like, hey, I can choose my graphics card. Not that. I mean, the whole computer is modular. Like, I could take another personal computer and just go glue it to another one and have it work twice as well, you know? Oh, I mean, you can set up, you can do things like set up a Beowulf cluster or similar where you have a lot of systems like hard-coded to daisy chain together. But I mean in a sense of they truly become one entity that operates as a single entity. So it doesn't need to be, their application does not need to be custom built to operate it, you know? But then again, I mean, from a practical perspective, it would still need to be, there would still be a stage at which you would have to change operating systems fundamentally to support that. The idea that there could be, you know, that there could be 54 CPUs in this operating system, or there could be one. Use them appropriately. You know, there could be that many graphics cards. There could be, you know, there could be 1,000 USB hubs. Yes, Philip, this is the Warhammer 40,000 DLC for PowerWash Simulator. We have done a Land Raider, a Rogaldorn tank. We have done a Imperial Fist Dreadnought and a Imperial Knight. I mean, in general, people should shoot for the stars, Kebo. It's understand what you want and decide if it's something that you're willing to go after. Even if you can't have the entirety of it, deciding, well, how much of it can I have? Oh, wow, look at that scalp. Look at that. I didn't realize we had one of these. Super tall version. It's kind of like what I was saying about programming, Kebo. Is the idea of you can do it. You can learn to program. You can learn to make games. But do you really want to? You want to put in the time and effort necessary to do that, to produce what kind of game that you want to see. If the answer is no, then the answer is no. Don't do that. If the answer is yes, then go for it. Yeah, it does look like Mason and Sherbet were dashing past there. I mean, a supercomputer is effectively obtainable right now. I would personally like to see more auto manufacturers strongly entering the electric vehicle market. Like, and I don't mean they're going to make another Tesla. I mean, I would like to see, like, the little bitty compact car. Super cheap, super accessible electric car. I would like to see international standards for electric chargers. I mean, if we could get, what would it be called? I think, I mean, it shows up in fiction a lot, the whole ubiquitously available kind of wireless electricity. That would be kind of cool. Was a company that claimed they were going to do something like that and totally failed at it, like hardcore failed to deliver. Solar roadways, that's what it was. They super overpromised, and they had fundamental flaws in their concept even before like selling it, so there were gaps in what they were going to be able to deliver, but sold everybody that it was going to be the most amazing thing ever. Effectively, they tried to build solar panels into roads, like a tile, you know? There were inevitable problems with the designs. But they still managed to get some, like, municipalities to give them lots of money. I mean, their whole idea was stuff like that the solar panels would have LEDs built into them so that you could have the, like, traffic lines and the like built into the panels and all of that. But the problems ended up being about durability and cost. The things were really prone to breaking down and couldn't handle the stresses that they were going to be put under, both directly physical and environmental. Neat concept, but like a lot of these concepts, they actually need the amount of research, like plenty of research to follow. Solar panels definitely can be expensive. It's one of the reasons that, like, subsidy programs where societal bodies try to make it more accessible for folks, given our current economic systems. Right. There are plenty of things that you can look at and say, in order to go as far as you are claiming you want to go, you know, to the person that's touting the tech, we need a fundamentally new thing in our grasp of technology. So, right now, there's a lot of hype about artificial intelligence because of the upsurge in things like generative AIs used to make pictures, video, that kind of thing. And a lot of those are wildly overhyped in what they're capable of doing. Even the newest ones with them showcasing, look at this movie that it made. And it's like, that's very pretty, but it's not what you're saying it is. And it can't grow into what you're saying it can grow into. Is it possible? Like, is it something that you could see happening? I would say not with our current understanding of technology. Could it be possible? Yeah, I mean, all kinds of things are possible, but currently implausible or currently impossible. So you have a lot of people like, oh man, we're gonna make Skynet. No, we're not. We're not even close to that tech yet. The idea of an artificial general intelligence is entirely out of our current technological grasp. We need something big to shift over to that. So an interesting part of that, Kebo, is one of our problems as far as, quote unquote AI right now, is that the algorithms that we use aren't good at, let's say, being definable. So we use programmatic techniques that, or program techniques that, I'm going to say emergent. I don't know if that's still the right word for it, but they're emergent techniques, genetic algorithms, neural networks, that kind of thing. And they're neat techniques, but part of the problem is we don't really know what they're doing. Like, code-wise, we know what they're doing. But what a particular portion of the data that we're operating does is often fundamentally unclear. This is not Recron. The game that we're making in other streams on the channel. And did I change this on Twitch? Oh, you're not on Twitch. This is PowerWash Simulator. Existing game. And there are still a lot of places that are hyping ChatGPT as if it is, artificial general intelligence when it's really bad at some of the things it does. Like, really, really, really bad. How's the stream going? Stream is going well. Even if we run a little long, we're finishing this spaceship. We are going to finish this spaceship today. I was hoping to finish it like in the first half of the stream. That did not happen. Oh, my game? We ended yesterday with some new movement logic, and there was a bug in it. I know what the bug was. I haven't solved all of the instances of it in the individual movement logics, but it is solvable now. I know what we need to do, and I will totally remember to do it by the next stream or in the next stream. Absolutely gonna happen. No, it's 2D. Could it be 3D? Yes. Don't know that I will. That might be a later project. It could be fun to learn something like Blender Make some little 3D cat bots into the like. It'd be fun. If I make a 3D model of a catbot, I could load it into a 3D printer. That could be neat. Merch ideas. Once it's done, Recron, or at least once it's in a functionally testable state that I would want to reach out to people to try it and see how it do, I will make it available either through Discord or maybe some other channels. Something. Because I will need playtesting, you know? It's an important part. Do people even like it? Does it work? But right now, the focus on the game is moving towards completion. I generally don't add individuals. Like, I don't usually use, like, the friends list Recron. But in the descriptions of my videos, there is a link to a LinkTree, which has a link to the Discord. If you go there, it'll drop you into a channel where I can give you permissions, and from there you can chat with me and the rest of the community that is on the Discord. It's not a fast, busy community, but it's there. We chat when people want to chat. There are also pictures of pets, which is sometimes a selling point in and of itself. Description of the video or in my channel, the primary link of the channel is the LinkTree. No worries. Like I said, when you initially join, you won't be able to see anything. After stream, I will pop in and unlock that for you. The reason for that song and dance is to trap art bots. It doesn't work 100%, but it helps. Should be at the top of the video descriptions. Or it should be just under the channel name on the profile. If you're accessing it via phone, then the link in the video description won't work. You'd have to highlight and copy paste. Because people were doing bad things with short form video description links. Come on, missile. Be clean. Things like this missile are usually anti-tank weapons. In 40K, I mean. I don't know if a real-world analog of this kind of missile would be that kind of thing. The tip of it implies to me that it would be more of an explosive. I feel like individually available tanks would fundamentally change our understanding of personal traffic. Potentially for the better. Everybody would be much better on much better behavior if there was the threat of a anti-vehicular rocket in their future if they weren't. I think that's true of a lot of interpersonal behavior. The threat of anti-tank ordnance tends to change behaviors. Might need the super tall one to get the rest of this. Fail. Go, up we go. Was the search for the Holy Grail line? Some watery tart throwing scimitars at random people is not a basis for a government. A part of the classic help help I'm being repressed sequence. Anybody not see Monty Python and the Search for the Holy Grail? If you haven't, you really should. Kind of a classic. Kind of classic. Are we talking like active, like live uranium, or like, you know, the equivalent of depleted uranium armor? And would you have special muscles to go with it? I always found the rocket hammers and the like in games kind of fun. Something to be said for gratuitous, silly weaponry like that. Anybody ever see the anime that Cartoon Network commissioned called Big O? The title robot in that one had gigantic hydraulics in its arm as part of like finishing moves. Did I miss something you said there, Philip? Cartoon Network was a television channel. I think they still exist. That is one of the places that a lot of people in the US were exposed to anime. They had a programming segment called Toonami. M1A2 Abrams. The early Abrams tank is inside this game, both in this DLC and in the game that this DLC is derived from. There is a futuristic tank that is derived from the Abrams in design. It looks kind of silly in a sci-fi setting as a result, but, you know. I mean, it can be good to take efforts to actually try to translate things cleanly, because sometimes the production of a subtitle or something like that might not actually be accurate to the language, but the same thing with the dubbing is sometimes it's incorrect as far as how they confer the idea. Now, that's not to say adjusting it for societal norms in an area is bad. I know there was a lot of consternation recently over translators, you know, going woke, or whatever the commentator meant by that. Usually that translates as not being a monster. All right, what else we got? We're so close. Parts of the attack wing and the mounts. Parts of the access ramp. Precisely, Kevo. I do have to wonder what the next boogeyman is going to be called after that wears off. It's the same sort of curiosity that you get out of, you know, the classic watching a train wreck unfold kind of thing. It's that wondering what silly thing people are going to fixate on next, but also being, you know, terrified that, oh man, people actually fixate on that? Oh no. I'm close. Are you hiding dirt? One of the engine turbines and one of the heavy bolters. Oh, that one's still super grubby. But how? Where did I put that ladder? There's something up here that's still grubby. Go. Extend the nozzle. I mean, it's a way that people, it's one of the things that people like about watching streams. Now, you have to be careful not to take it too far. both for your own health and safety as well as for that of the streamer. You know, the whole parasocial relationships discussion. But it's a type of social interaction for some folks. And getting access to that can be very healthy. So again, you have to learn to not take it too far in the wrong directions. Main wing tips in light. Gonna need the big platform. Running and jumping in this game. You wouldn't think it. Remarkable amount of parkour in the power washing game. Next. Here. Yeah. Got it. There's a very particular spot I could set it down. Thrusters, those are some of the front ones. These little dudes. We're at a stage just before the final bit of cleaning where we have to hit a couple of more targets before it will show us on screen, like in the upper left, a list of our targets. Are these ones on the sides really retro? Are all of these really retro thrusters? Since, like, some of the ones in the front I could get that, but they're all, like, hard pointed down. So they look kind of like lift-off thrusters, you know? Like vertical takeoff kind of tools. Hatch. One of these little black things over the missiles. One of them is not cleaned. The last little bit can be the slowest bit. Well, welcome back, Brexton. With that one. There we go. All right, fast forward time. Let's see, full access has been restored. The Archmagos has confirmed the viability of the artifact and is being transported to the Forge Temple on Olympus Mons. Going to the risk of something upon your remaining biologics, you will undergo Promethium Protocol. So Promethium is like a super fuel. It's also used in flamethrowers in this setting. So it sounds like they're going to scorch you clean with fire. However, that your role in the operation was of critical importance. Indeed, calculations estimate that your sanctification prowess increased the probability of success by as much as 0.007%. And there we have it, folks. That was the end of the 40k DLC. Pretty much, Taz. Pretty much. Oh, but good times. Good times. That is gonna wrap it up from here, folks. Oh, I hope you all had a good time today. If you did, remember to like, follow, subscribe, comment on the stream, whichever is available on your platform of choice. All of them help the channel. And again, I want to thank everybody that's helped us to this point. We did reach 4,000 recently. So thanks to all that got us there, and thank you to everybody since then. Special thanks to, let's see here. I think it was, I gotta scroll up a little bit. I'll find it, just a second. There we go. Sherry. Special thanks to Sherry for the super chats today. But yeah, ideally. Oh, and thank you again, Sherry. Thank you again. I appreciate it. We will be streaming again tomorrow. I haven't decided on what we will stream. It's either going to be Ace Attorney or more programming. One or the other. There was uncertainty this week with how much more of this there would be to complete it, of PowerWash. So again, either programming or Ace Attorney. We'll see. I'll get it posted as soon as I decide. But again, thank you all for joining us today, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.